Alright, friends, in the bottom left spawning as our blue Protoss player playing for Team Storm Gaming. It is MaxPax's. And in the top right as our red Zerg player playing for Team Onsite Gaming, it is Solar. Alright, Zerg versus Protoss here, best of 5. Now, I realize that the overlay is ugly as crap. That's because I made a small blunder. It's going to be fixed next game, I think. Yeah, it should be fixed next game. No worries. So MaxPax opens up with a hatch block. It's going to confirm that indeed there is a hatchery over here. So that's all going to be real nice for him. Extractor gets thrown down here as well. As Solar's just going to play a standard hatch first build. MaxPax, he's mining less gas than I had expected. I thought most of the top tosses right now were playing double gas or double probes into the gas before building the Nexus. He's opening up with core before anything though. Okay, so a complete switch up from what we're used to out of MaxPax here. Or out of any regular Protoss player, really. I wonder what the follow-up is going to be, because Oracle after a core into Nexus tends to be very bad. So we could perhaps be going into like a Twilight build. Robotics facility is technically possible as well, although also quite crap. Gonna have to wait and see. Now Solar should realize what's kicking out. It's like, hey, that cybernetic score is about 8 seconds early. That means that this adept is going to arrive 8 seconds early. Now the first adept usually isn't the issue. It's the second adept where the trouble truly begins. So you need to be very ready for that second adept to show up at a quick pace. Now Warp Gate does get started instantly here. It could still be cancelled. We're gonna have to wait and see. But the amount of gas that is being mined is so little that I almost don't believe it. Second adept starts and gets chrono boosted practically instantly. Do we have a cancel here on the Warp Gate? The answer is no. Stargate doesn't get constructed yet. It's going to be Warp Gate into Stargate. This is an extremely rare build order that you legitimately never see. I actually can't remember the last time I've seen this. Alrighty, here we go. Continuing on in. As the first adept is out, second adept making its way across the map. Solar's gonna have 10 links ready-ish in order to deal with this. If he doesn't take any damage from these two adepts, he's going to be in a fantastic spot. Now, the beauty of opening double adept from core first is that you can actually have 2 shades. So you can shade him once and then you can still shade out. MaxPax kind of ruined it though, so I don't actually think it matters. On top of that, also the second queen isn't out quite yet on the third phase, which is supposed to help out, but the damage here was very, very mediocre. He's killed 2 links, and that's not worth the investment at all, because your initial oracle is extremely delayed. Your overall probe count is a little bit lower as well, by I think 1.6, 1.7. So yeah, definitely not worth the effort so far. As this Ling attack here is now happening, is trying to get us around on these adepts. Could have probably killed one adept. Could have definitely killed one adept there, just didn't quite commit to it. MaxPax is going to save up 2 oracles. Almost feel like Solar should send in an Overlord here. Yeah, just to force out a Stalker warp in, or get scouting information is one of the two. Okay, Stalker warp in happens. Overlord now needs to piss off. Okay, Solar's a little bit slow with the response there. Could actually end up losing that Overlord as a result, which would be kind of bad, honestly. Oracle making its way into this natural base, or into this natural base location, where right now the third base is being constructed. One more big shot. There he's going to get that Overlord. Solar supply blocked 59 out of 58. Also ends up losing 1 worker here. The triple adept now moving in should not finish, and they won't. Second oracle also on the way, and perhaps together can do something. Adept will get sacrificed for the greater good, but only get 2 worker kills. So overall, MaxPax's position is not quite brilliant, but on the other hand, Solar has produced a lot of links. If MaxPax doesn't die against this follow-up, which I don't think he should, it might be fine anyway, because this is really a lot of links here. This really is a lot of links. Now, these links are going to keep the oracles at home, so that could allow Solar to skip a couple of spores, but Solar has already built the spore, so that's not going to be very helpful either. Forge Twilight as a follow-up for MaxPax, and we're really most likely looking into a +1 and blink type of setup coming out of the Danish Wunderchild. Single revelation there is going to connect with these queens as well as the hatchery. He's looking for damage. He's trying to get a good angle towards the third base, but queens always moving. Queens seemingly also always moving in the right direction, except for just now. This is perhaps going to cost Solar 1 or 2 drones. But might also cost MaxPax's a single Oracle here. This Oracle is falling very, very low right now. I think he should leave the Oracle in the dead space for a little bit. Oh, taking a lot of damage on these Oracles. A lot of hull damage as well. Yes, you're going to get the shields back. But the HP you never will get back. 3 extra gases being added in. It's going to bring the total up to 6. It feels like Solar setting himself up for Spire play here. Could be wrong about that though. Feels a little bit Spire-ish, the way that Solar plays. And he's a big fan of the Mutalisk as well in general as a unit. His Evo Chamber is confusing, and the fact that he hasn't built a Spire is also confusing. The Hydra then makes it very unlikely that this is indeed going to be a Mutalisk play. Hope we can kind of shade in here with these 2 adepts, or... yeah, just shade in towards the main, that would be nice. Lynx will move into position though to deal with it. Should be a cancel here. Yep, it's gonna cancel, try and get 1 or 2 worker kills, and we'll get that. But this wasn't a brilliant trade by any stretch of the imagination. Double Forge. This is really the old school hero style that Hero popularized. What was it? Was it last year or was it still this year? I'm pretty sure it was last year, no? The start of last year. And has fallen off massively ever since then due to the power of the Baneling. Now that the Baneling is a little bit weaker, perhaps people are going to start bringing it back. As these double forges are definitely putting in some serious work. Stasis Ward's also helping out for now. And as this was not a melee opener, this can be kind of tricky to hold for Solar. MaxPax's microing this well, so far hasn't lost too many units. Has he even lost any? I'm not so sure. Yeah, I've lost a couple, but mainly Adepts, probably. I mean, 5 units. I think all of those were Adepts, actually. Hasn't lost a single Stalker quite yet. +2 is now on the way. The worker count is also starting to rise, up to 68. That pretty much means full saturation on 4 bases if you're only on 4 gases. It's a little bit under, but it's getting pretty darn close, especially once those mineral patches in the main start running out, which is obviously going to be the case as we're almost 8 minutes into the game. Stalkers get some mediocre trades here. Or well, some pretty decent trades, but they're in the end not getting too much done anymore. Creep is almost non-existent. As at this point, I'd love to see a robotics facility. Okay, we have a robotics facility. A Prism is out already. And I think it's time for a Robo Bay here. Yeah, it's definitely time for a Robo Bay. And that's what MaxPax's is going to do as well. Purely a Robo Bay could still go into a second robotics facility from here. Wouldn't be necessarily bad. As a Zealot run-by is being set up towards the 3rd base location. Stasis connects in a big way. You don't want to really jump over this. MaxPax's just keeping as many units alive as he can as the Prism now moves in towards the main. I actually think Solar is in a world of trouble. It's going to be 8 gateways worth of Zealots entering the main base. They have 1/1 upgrades against just a +1 Roach Hydra army. Roaches are not great at splitting up. At the same time, this is still being kited as well, as MaxPax is playing quite quick over here. Attacking multiple locations at the same time. Is going to collect some of these Zealots as well. Completely destroys this base, as it seemed like Solar wasn't really paying attention. And MaxPax is just pulling his opponent apart right now. I would love to see either a Disruptor or a Colossus start. I honestly think that Disruptors are going to be a fine choice here. A 5th base could be in the works as well, as there is a probe indeed building that right now. A couple of extra gateways could be added. There's loads of cash in the bank for Max to work with. As he's marching towards his first victory here in this best of 5. Yes, the supplies don't necessarily look very good, but his attack is looking very good, and this is looking real good. Here comes the GG out of Solar. MaxPax's for Europe takes the first map over here, trying to stop the dominance of Solar. Alright, game number 2 here is going to be played on Oceanborn. Oceanborn. Once again, we're going to have a quick block. I wonder if Solar is going to utilize any of those over hatches or over pools that we have seen. Might just try and go for a 14 hatch here. Post Overlord. Oh my god. Is he going to get it? Oh! He waited for so long. Holy crap, that was close. Holy crap. If you're playing 14 hatch and that one gets denied, you're in deep trouble, my friends. You're in very deep trouble. Unbelievable. This only happened because it was Central United States. That was a ping moment, if you ask me. Most definitely. We'll have to wait and see how Max is going to play it. I'm surprised I was really surprised by his last game's build order. I didn't know that MaxPax's had that particular opener in his toolkit. It seemed interesting. Core first, into Warp Gate, into a Stargate. Didn't really achieve a whole lot, but it's nice to have like some switch ups. Although, yeah. Hey, he's playing it once again, actually. I think he might be misreading what happened in the last game a bit. Perhaps too happy with the result of last game that it, you know, kind of clouds his judgment there. This probe is just running around, having a good old time. This core first, I mean, especially if bases aren't split, I feel like core first is not that great. And unless he has different follow-ups coming out of a core first, I'm never a huge fan of repeating a little trick like this or a little gimmick like this. There's a reason why it's kind of uncommon, and it's because it has been somewhat figured out. So throwing it in once in a series, like every couple of weeks, or if you're playing against different players, you can do it more often. But not a huge fan of repeating this particular opener. I'm really hoping for a Twilight Council here, but it's going to be a Stargate, this time with a Warp Gate cancel. I'm not sure if Solar actually spotted the Warp Gate cancel or not. That, of course, is going to change the timings quite a little bit. The first Adept is now going to show up. Please tell me Solar knows. Yes, very safe play here. Look how far back that Creep Tumor is going to be. I do like that quite a bit. Almost feel like you might as well build the first Tumor over here in that case and just inject your natural. It's going to have closer by drone production to where they want to be anyway. So economically it's a bit better, and it's not like this Creep Tumor is doing a whole lot. Is it now? Did it even spread the creep a little? It's like half an inch on your screen maybe. These double Adepts are going to finish up their shade. And no queens are in position. Honestly, this is dealing more damage than it did in the last game. As 3 links get taken out. Last game it was 2 links. Adepts do shade out and stay alive. Less links have been forced as well, though. Or maybe the same amount. It was 12 last game, and now it's also 12, actually. So the exact same amount, yeah. This has been fairly pointless. Nexus is up, and it's up really quickly. Huh. I recognize this build. Very fast third base. You love to see it. Things are catching on over here. Pulled back those Adepts as well. As he's well set up over here. He's really well set up. This Adept isn't quite as well set up. And I actually prefer putting it in between the mineral patches, as there's less surface area for links in that case. Oracle now needs to come back and activate. That's going to be a little bit frustrating. Third gas now starts. It's going to be a third Oracle as well. Gonna have to wait and see exactly what's gonna kick off here. But I'm liking the switch up that MaxPax's is going for. Twilight Council behind this. I personally would just... I would really enjoy a delayed Forge over here and just adding a couple extra gateways first before anything else. Just getting those extra gates can be such a huge deal. These Adepts are kind of stuck in nothingness right now. Can't really move across the map. Have to stay home. 2 more gates on the way. It's going to bring the total up to 40. I like this follow-up. I really do. This is one of my favorite follow-ups off of this particular opener. 3 gas into 4 gate, no Forge. The Forge really delays any type of push-out and also makes the push-out with 2 less Stalkers happen. So, just not a huge fan of that generally. This Oracle is going to move in and pisses off once more as well. Absolutely loving how this looks so far. Huge fan of what MaxPax's is doing here. It's mainly because he kind of played my build order. Oh, gonna move these Adepts back in between the pylon and the assimilator, and then loses the Adept because it didn't move back properly. There's no battery here quite yet. Now I have charge as a start. Okay, this I'm not a huge fan of. I really much would have preferred seeing Blink here, as he's losing another Stalker. He's just bleeding out units right now. Has nothing at home. He really wanted to fake a Blink Stalker attack. Perhaps for some type of a +1 melee defense. And then go for a massive charge drop timing. But so far that isn't really working out whatsoever. So okay, we have a Spire coming in here for Solar, which is a pretty decent opener against charge. Not many people are aware of this, but the Zealot isn't capable of attacking air. Double Forges now as a follow-up. It's gonna stay on 5 gases. I am not entirely sure about this particular build order. I'm gonna have to be real with all of you. There's a robotics facility that's finishing up. He's playing 6 gas, double forge. No Templar archives. We're floating so much freaking gas. I think he just started a TA. Yeah, it's just going to be too late for anything useful, no? By the time this Harcon push is going to hit, I feel like there's going to be so many things out already. Like, too many roaches, just too much of everything. There's 75 workers here for Solar, and with ease he is going to stop this incoming attack, unless he completely messes up the defense, but I can't really imagine that happening. There's 15 roaches on the way. Queens need to buy a little bit of time as he kind of gets caught out in the middle. It's an awkward position that he finds himself in. He's taking a forward fort base here. Link's now coming back, picking up some reinforcements. Doesn't quite go so well. His queens are falling. There's no spore over here on this base. I'd love to see the oracles just target down some drones, as I'm surprised by how much damage Solar is taking here. I felt like, to me, that shouldn't quite have been the case. Fought a bit too far out in the open. The Zealot now taking out some drones here, and despite this being stopped, it really felt like MaxPax's should have been stopped much earlier and much harder. There's still 3 queens remaining, which is enough for inject. And once you're playing Muta, I don't think creep is going to be the biggest factor coming into play anymore. Overall, still a fine hold here for Solar, but wasn't as easy as I thought it was going to be. Overseer pops in over here, sees the Void Ray starting, is going to be real happy with that. As this Roach push almost by itself could kill this, because there's no Immortals out, there's no sentries, no nothing. There's not even a battery either. So if this was like a dedicated Roach timing, I think it would have worked. But because there are Mutas behind this and +1, I think Solar says, hey, I'm gonna stick to the plan. I'm in a good position right now. Once I get my first Mutas out, he can make an insane wave of drones, go up to 84, 85 workers, cancel his opponent's fort base, and from there on out, he can either just stick with kind of mass Muta, or he can go into Ravager Bane and just stick with those 7-8 Mutas that he has right now. And I'd almost prefer just staying on a lower Muta count here, as you have already forced out the response. And maybe the only way you can lose this game is if MaxPax's actually stabilizes on like 3 base against 30 Mutas, with like 10, 12 Phoenixes, and eventually does like some weird max out push. Although I also find it hard to believe. Like, MaxPax's is so far away from maxing out at the moment that it seems unrealistic right now for him. As Colossus are being added in, we have the centrifugal hooks as well. We have the +2 melee. Double Robo Colossus being used here. MaxPax's very confident in his ability to hold things. Kind of impressed by that. I wouldn't have expected someone to just easily transition into Colossus behind all of this, but it might actually give him an opportunity to do something later on in the mid game. It's gonna take a fort base on the left side. This is actually working out quite well. Usually I'm not a huge fan of 2 Robo Colossus against Mutas, but because Solar decided to transition out of Mutas, it actually kind of worked out. Of course, MaxPax's couldn't have seen that coming, so it was just kind of lucky for him. If he's playing against Mass Muta and you have Colossus building, that's not great. Although it does have the double Stargate Phoenix as well, I guess. He had some Archons. Maybe this was an okay play. Maybe it was safe enough. Here comes an attack out of Solar. I think MaxPax's probably wants to give up this base for now. Wants to defend in battery range. Getting a cancel on that base is nice for Solar, but it also just means that if you're not killing any gas units, instead the gas unit count is going to keep growing. Phoenixes are actually kind of cracked. There's no infestation pit, no hive on the way. Solar is floating an astronomical amount of money. He really needed to fight there, it felt like, to trade units. Now that he hasn't traded units, and he doesn't really have a transition ready, I'm almost starting to become afraid for him. I don't quite understand what he's doing. He's gonna go into Corruptors from here. So he wants to play Corruptor, Ravager, Bane. He's gonna need a lot of Corruptors to deal with the Colossus count that is out currently. He's gonna need a lot of Colossus here. Solar's basically going to hit with the exact same push as before, except it's a minute and a half later this time. And yes, the supply still looks similar to what they were last time around, but there's way more gas units, there's more important Colossus as well. Salad Rumba is now being sent out, and I actually think there's going to be another cancel here on this fort. I don't mind that. I don't mind that for MaxPax's at all. If he can just clear some of these Banes for free and then cancel this base. I mean, there's no transition at all for Solar. Solar is still floating a crap ton of resources. Could have thrown down an infestation pit at any point, but he's just happy with killing a fort. I don't think you should be happy with killing a fort if you're stuck on a lair army. He wants to trade on his opponent's side of the map. It's also really scary to attack into a super battery in my mind. Like, you can't really do that. But at least not at this point anymore. I think the first time he should have just continued pushing. I think that was the main mistake. Now he's kind of in this weird situation where, well, he still probably could have been transitioning at any point. He just decided not to for the past 4 minutes. And now there's a huge army. We have 9 Archons. There are 4 Colossus out. There's 37 Banelings. And this is an army that I don't actually think MaxPax's is gonna lose this fight. Has a pretty decent spread here. Banelings now moving in forward. Is there a prism with this? Not necessarily. Well, looks like Solar's doing an okay job so far. Still has the 64 Ling reinforcements as well. Corruptors stay alive. This went much better for Solar than I thought it was going to be. Still needs to be careful though, as the Zealots are now starting to hit some of his drones. There's a fort base behind this for Max. This went so much better for Solar than I thought it was going to be. So much better. That doesn't mean he has won necessarily, but I thought that there was a decent chance he was just going to straight up lose the game, and that definitely didn't happen. He hardly lost any workers as well, and he's denied the Archon count of his opponent. I think MaxPax went in a bit too fast. I think if MaxPax just stays on the edge of creep, like there's nothing forcing him to move in right at that moment. You just keep sending Zealot run-bys to outside bases, and every time you lose 5 Zealots, you replace it with 2 Archons. And every time you lose, you know, another Stalker here or there, you replace it with an Immortal. Like you're just going to improve your army at that point, because Solar isn't improving his army anymore. His bank is growing bigger, but his army ain't improving. And for MaxPax, the main way that he's going to win is by having a massive army and winning one fight and then pushing through. So although I liked the move out on the map, I don't think that was bad. I think that should have been to deny creep with small forces, while Zealot run-bys tried to get rid of the Zealot in kind of a responsible manner. I don't actually think that moving on to creep here in this situation was necessarily great. Although I did believe that he was going to win the fight a bit harder, I still think that moving there into creep was still the incorrect call. Although it's easy to kind of get caught into just looking at your army and being like, oh, this looks very big. That's nice, and I'm not sure how much info MaxPax had of his opponent's tech situation. Well, he had 0 information, and perhaps he saw the Corruptors, was afraid of Brutes. You can kind of explain it away like this, but it's a mistake nonetheless, of course. 75 workers to 60, as Zealot run-bys here are continuing. Disruptors being added in. Baneling count is going to be at around 20. MaxPax really needs to just fight off creep. I think that is absolutely essential. No matter what he's going to do, that's a huge Purification Nova. So both of these Disruptors are going to get picked up. There's no Storm quite yet here. Just pure Disruptor for now as the splash source. But even off creep, I mean, these fights should be okay-ish. I think that should be just fine. Roach Run by now being sent in here. Finally, we have Hive on the way, as well as +2 range. It took really freaking long for Solar, and I have no clue why. Solar honestly tried his best to try and throw this game away between minutes 8 and 13. Then kind of got lucky that MaxPax maxed it up, because MaxPax had his own fate in his hands for a little while there. After Solar's insane early game, that never should have happened again. The Solar can bleed. I mean, we've seen that. MaxPax is up 1-0 after all. Prism heads in towards the main base. Does see the lag, the Hive had just finished up, that there's no Greater Spire. And I think MaxPax is going to be pretty upset by that. It's like, oh my god, can't believe I attacked into that earlier. That's so silly. Stalker defense here is going to be good enough. Super Battery gets activated. And one more Warp in definitely is going to save it. Upgrades are 2-2 here for Max. Wouldn't mind seeing +3 attack start at least. You don't necessarily have to start armor instantly. It's not as important, but +3 attack I think is a pretty big upgrade that you most definitely want to get. Could even start a shield upgrade as well. Like +3 in shield. I wouldn't mind that. I think that's quite good. If you have this many Archons in your army, yeah, for sure. This entire time he's just been focusing almost purely on Archons, and there's no shield upgrades for them. I mean, Archons barely benefit from armor upgrades. They have 10 HP, they have 350 shields. Yeah, make of that what you will. New Corruptors are being added in. This time it's going to be for Brood Lords. There's hardly any creep, so pushing with Brood Lords will be hard. And that probably means that we're gonna see a defensive Solar with Broodlords. I haven't seen either player here play a little bit of late game. I can't recall MaxPax's playing many late games. I can't recall Solar playing many late games. Disruptors actually with some big hits. I'm sorry, I only caught the tail end of that. You know, some big hits there on the Banelings. First Brutes now on the way. This is so many Archons, holy crap. Zealots run by towards the left. It's only 2 spines, shouldn't be enough, so part of the army needs to move there. Solar, however, spots this in time. Went in for their counter-attack as well at the same time. Solar's going to give up the top right side base, and as kind of in a trade, wants to take out this base. These Archons should be targeted down first. With the Adrenal Glands links, could work out. Oh, that's definitely going to work out. This is the 4th base for MaxPax's. And that's one of the only bases that is actually still mining for him, as his natural is running out. His 3rd is busy running out. His main is practically ran out. Disruptors are hitting and connecting with some of these drones. The problem now is that Brutes are going to be out. And even just 8 Broodlords is going to be enough to stop this forward moving force. Archons can't get under them. And as a result here, Solar is going to end up winning this game. Very unfortunate for MaxPax's. Absolutely tense call though by Solar. Sending out that Ling Bane run by, realizing that he could give up this top right side base. And yeah, this fight, I mean, this is an unfair fight. There's one guy flying around with Brutes and there's one guy moving around with Archons. They don't have enough range for that. There's no mining for MaxPax's. It's 51 drones for Solar, which is very low. But it's 24 probes here for MaxPax's. Solar's resaturating this base, still kind of mining from over here as well. Could add in some Vipers eventually, could add some Infestors, could also just push forward with Broodlords and continue morphing more and more Banelings. Needs to be careful with the Brutes that he doesn't lose them to a single Void Ray. That would be silly, as MaxPax's really is only saving grace right now, is that Void Ray. And there's definitely some mistakes made in this game, but that's okay, because that tends to make the games a little bit better. It really felt like Solar should have just picked up the victory here at the 9-minute mark, then at the 10-minute mark, then at the 11-minute mark. Then things got kind of scary. MaxPax's a bit too keen on killing as well in the mid-game. And is now paying the price. Still no Storm research at all. +3 is about to finish up. The first Infestor is on the way. Once these Infestors are out, the moment you blink in with anything, or the moment you get caught by a fungal, Broodlords are going to destroy this army. Like, it won't even be close. It really won't be. Yeah, 2 more Brutes popping out. 2 more Infestors popping out. Yeah, life is good here for Solar. He's gonna send in another Ling run by. Very nice play. Just kind of, you know, sticking to the basics. Like, hey, if you're moving out across the map, what do you have defensively? I have Adrenal Glands links, and they're pretty freaking strong with +3 specifically. So, good luck, my dear friend. You know, like, what do you want to do there? And well, to me, it seems like that for now, there's not a whole lot that MaxPax's can do. Can't expand, so just has to sit back. But sitting back also loses him the game. Hey, he can't attack, can't sit back. You literally just can't do anything. I kind of wish that Solar just built 2 Corruptors and moved across the map. I understand why he doesn't do that, because there's literally no point for him to attack. But he could just kill his opponent. He just doesn't want to take the risk, which means that we're going to sit here for another 2 minutes until MaxPax's decides it's time to end the game, because really MaxPax's is extremely dead. Like, extremely dead. I don't think it's possible. I'm pretty sure that if I were to take over from the Zerg at this point, that I could win. And that's a big statement, because I'm a really bad Zerg player. Like, really bad. Like, proper poor. 6 bases on the way. I actually wonder if I could manage to lose this game against Max. There's 14 Stalkers. And I could definitely lose all my drones to a single Zealot run by. That wouldn't be an issue. But then if you have 11 Brutes, 37 Banes, maybe it's possible. I think I could manage, actually. I think I could manage. 76 links, now out. I feel like Solar really should just kind of try and do something. Just for the sake of not letting us wait. Neural Parasite is on the way. Burrow about to finish up as well. How many, yeah, 11 Brutes. Hey, this is, I can't believe we're still in this game. Hey, this is some hardcore copium that MaxPax's is all over here. Again, observer there got taken out. Archon's in the back. He's gonna give up the fort base for the 6th time in this game. Goes in for a base. It's actually a really cool move. I'm not gonna lie, this is actually a really cool move. When you're talking about the grid, this is 100% the correct call. You know, this is just base trading and hope that you can somehow, some way. I mean, he killed 20 workers. That's a lot of workers. There really is a lot of workers. It's not going to matter, but he's giving himself the best chance possible. He's playing as if there's 10, like freaking 100,000 on the line on this particular game. There isn't, but I mean, this is respect. They're absolutely sick. Holy cow, it's gonna snipe this base as well. This one is still around. MaxPax's is gonna long distance mine. It's probably gonna outmine his opponent. It's gonna lose these voids now though. And that is an issue. So big blinking forward. Snipes these particular infestors. Needs to figure out a way to get these stalkers out. I don't think that is possible. I mean, respect to MaxPax's for trying this. You know, I almost started to believe for a second again. Like, just as really close mentally to say, oh, perhaps it's possible. But it is technically impossible. But that was actually some nice play by MaxPax's. So that's the problem if you move out with Brood Lords. You're real freaking slow. And a lot of things can happen. By the time you get across the map, although these days they're a bit faster, they're still quite slow. They're actually a bit faster. Yeah, you can definitely see it. Their little wing flapping flankers. 4 Void Rays are around. You have the 2 Archons in here. These 2 big fungals are going to connect, and here comes the tsunami of Zerg. Going to take out MaxPax's. GG gets called, and Solar finally gets a W after having won the game at the 7-minute mark. Took him very long to cash in this check. I think this is perhaps the highest level of PvZ you're gonna get. I wonder if the 1/1 stalkers are really that much better now, or just in general, like the lower gas styles. Now that the baneling is so a little bit funky.
Well, I think it kind of gets a indirect buff because +1 melee is worse now because the +2 doesn't one-shot anything anymore. So we're probably opening less with +1 melee, and +1 melee was by far the best opener against the stalkers initially.
Yeah, yeah, but not only that, also just, am I correct that if you get +2 stalkers now, is that they 2-shot banelings?
Yeah. Yeah, and we don't really get armor upgrades.
Yeah, exactly. So that's like that's a big deal, no?
Maybe it's +3 because they regenerate instantly, unless they attack literally at the same time.
Yeah. Okay. Very nice. Yeah, I was wondering if we're gonna see some more attacks. MaxPax's was playing it, and Solar opened up with 6 gas. Did you see game 1 or no?
I don't think so.
Okay, Solar opened up with 6 gas, went Roach Hydra, and then died to Stalkers and Zealots everywhere.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
MaxPax's also played Core first in the first game. Core first into Stargate. It's not bad.
Yeah, he almost blocked the hatchery last game. I think he could, like, if he goes earlier to scout, he can actually block it. This game he's going no scout, right?
Yeah. But it was 14 hatch after Overlord last game.
Yeah, so that's later than 15 hatch before the Overlord.
Yeah.
So you can definitely block that because Oceanborn is not that big of a map.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm surprised that MaxPax's doesn't block. I feel like he really hates playing games in which he didn't block his opponent. He's also very good with the adepts and stuff. They're very... Yeah. I always think it's so... You know, they take so many risks, it feels like, but then they also always deal damage, so it can't be that risky. You know, if it always pays off, like how risky can it really be? To be fair, every single time I went to the casino, I put everything on red and I walked out with more money than I came in with. So how risky can the casino really be, Lambo?
There's a dangerous logic to follow.
Yeah. It's a very dangerous logic sometimes. Yeah, he's got to open up a quick Stalker behind all of this. Solar has a... Not quite sure what this Overlord is looking for. Perhaps just gas count. It's not going to see much else. This Adept will deal no damage. It will kill 1 Ling. That's my call.
No, wait, how is it going to kill a Ling?
You go into the main.
What? No.
Yeah.
Why would it ever kill a Ling?
I see this happen all the time. He'll commit to something, he kills a Ling. That's what he does.
But only if he blocks. If
No,
you
also
don't
if he
get
doesn't
blocked, you
block,
should lose nothing.
puts it over here, starts shooting drones from the high ground.
It's gonna die there because both queens can shoot it. If you go there, you just lose the other.
Almost got a link, you saw? Almost got his first shot in at least. And then
Almost
you're just really
got a
one
shot,
shot away from killing it. It's practically a win. Oh, 3 overlords at the same time for Solar. There's no Roach Warren, so there's not a Roach Rush. It's just a mistake. Rookie moves.
I am very surprised that MaxPax's picked this map, or even didn't veto it.
Yeah.
Because as a Zerg, you get a gold plus rich gas base right away.
That's your third.
Yeah. So why he picked this one? Did he forget this base exists or what?
I don't know. I spoke a bit with him the other day about maps as well. And I think he mentioned that he just liked Equilibrium. But I think he just liked it like globally, like in PvP and PvT maybe. And then he was like, that's probably fine against Zerg as well, but not having, you know, the experience yet of playing enough games on it. And it's possible.
Yeah, I get that sometimes. I also have maps that I just like playing on, even if they're slightly worse for my race, and I don't mind it. But I think having a gold plus rich gas base as a third for the Zerg is pushing it a little bit.
Yeah. You can like it a lot, but it's not worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna get a couple of kills in. 3 kills so far. Roach Warren gets thrown down here. We have a second gas being taken in the main base for whatever reason. It's an interesting move by Solar. Decides to keep his rich.
It's a bad move.
Yeah.
Not interesting, it's a bad move.
Yeah.
He clicked it now and he realized, shit.
Yeah. Wait a second, this is purple. The color is different. Does that give me double? Yep, it does, Solar. Yes, it does. We see no upgrade quite yet. It's gonna be Blink. So it's probably gonna add a second forge soon as well. This is how MaxPax's played for such a long time. Like pretty much until it didn't work, and then he still kept playing it for a while, and then he quit finally. But now, ever since the new patch has hit and the new maps, he's back on this good stuff. He's like, all right, Stalkers from 6 gates. Gonna add a second forge in as well. Go up to 4 bases, 4 gas, and boom. He's gonna have a good time. Solar with an Evo chamber and, well, 6 gas practically. It's gonna get roach speed +1 range probably, or you're expecting melee still?
I think it's gonna be range. I mean, it could be Muta again. I think it wouldn't be a bad call to go Muta. He also has a super forward base, so it's difficult to for the Stalkers to attack anywhere, I feel like. Even though Solar's creep spread is not the most insane right now. And Solar's playing super safe. He's making roaches very early on, before anything is happening. Maybe afraid of the same build or hitting him again, but this time properly executed, you know?
Yeah. It's gonna be Stalkers instead. As indeed we have the second forge researching armor at this point. Triple oracles are out. As a fort base gets taken here for MaxPax's. And I think it's gonna get Solar's gonna get a cancel on this, right?
Yeah, he will. I think this is already a really good position for Solar overall. If you don't deal any, if MaxPax's doesn't deal any damage, usually he loses games like this. Like, I'm not sure what happened in the first game, if he dealt any damage or Solar just attacked, but usually MaxPax's gets ahead in the early game and then he starts snowballing. He constantly trades with the Stalkers, and especially if you go roaches, it's very difficult. Like if you don't go +1 melee, because you keep losing roaches. But now he's not even moving out, so the position is really bad. On top of Solar already having a head start because he already mined the gold for a while.
Are you not a little worried about Solar's drone count at all? Like 60 workers is very low for this phase of the game.
Yeah, but it's basically more like 70, right? Which is actually very high against the first.
That's true.
Against the first blink attack. The supply is not supposed to look this way with the hero style.
Yeah, it's not. It's supposed to be a decent amount closer. Solar's pushing creep out towards the middle right now. There's still 1 stasis ward there. MaxPax's struggling to make something happen. He has a robotics facility. Is the first prism out? Yes, it is. These Stalkers are just moving back. Prism is already in the main base. I kind of missed that. Charge isn't done yet, though. That makes these zealots so much worse. It's actually insane. Yeah, it's gonna need to piss off from here because this is practically useless. Yeah, it's just gonna pick up and say, you can have these 2 zealots. They're a gift for you. Early Christmas present. Solar's gonna eat that up. Moving across the map is going to be quite difficult pre-max for Solar, but once he's maxed, I think he can do it, despite there still being oracles around. Usually the higher the supply, the less impactful these oracles become.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, he just wants to attack. It's very important for MaxPax's to force some units at home. Like the War Prison is very important. But overall, he's going Robo Bay as well. I think it might be a little bit too greedy. I don't really see how he holds the gold base, but maybe he can surprise us.
Yeah, he has a battery and a cannon there. Solar moves back a little bit. Seems to not be entirely sure about how he wants to do it yet. Zealot run by being sent out at the same time. Prism still in the main. Here comes the attack. Oracles are idling for now. Stasis Ward in the back. He's not really going to connect with everything here. Solar attacks the third base rather than the gold and is going to take out the pylon. He's going to continue chasing these workers as well. If he gets those workers, that would be very nice. If he doesn't get those workers, do we still see a future here for MaxPax's?
Yeah, for sure. This was a better hold than I imagined. I thought he would just go with everything towards the Stalkers, the Banelings as well, and then, you know, collapse on a base. But now, MaxPax's is actually counterattacking. He's holding overall. He did a great job at keeping all of the Stalkers alive, and this went way better than expected for MaxPax's.
Yeah, not bad at all. 2-1 upgrades as well for Max, with 3-2 already on the way. As lost a decent chunk of workers, but Solar still not on the highest worker count himself. And as the gold is still alive for Max, his income is actually looking rather healthy. Supply is now a lot closer, more in line with what should be the case with this particular style. Prism is still alive and is still dishing out damage in the main. I think Solar might actually be in a bit more trouble than he thought he was going to be.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, he doesn't really have a choice but to just attack again. He will have one more strong timing with a lot of Banelings against still what is only Stalkers. And I really hope he goes towards the gold base this time. Like, if those probes are not mining, it's more impactful than trying to deny the mining at the initial third base.
This is a very big find, by the way. This is really going to help MaxPax's if they do find it. Yes, they do find it. Then these Lings and Banes, well, they shouldn't really be capable of dealing any damage. MaxPax's usually is quite quick at dealing with this type of harassment, while at the same time sending out his own Zealots. Well, as I say that, he's going to take a little bit of damage here. Only 3 workers. I think he got those more luck than wisdom there, in my opinion. More Zealots are being sent in everywhere. Stalker still poking out as well on the map. The Stalker count is very, very high, and the Baneling count is really quite low. The army composition actually doesn't look that bad for MaxPax's right now, just due to the low amount of Banes, no?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it especially looks good because he can consistently trade in the center of the map. He just doesn't let Solar move out for free. If these Stalkers just stand at the gold base, Solar walks across for free and then they attack, MaxPax's is dead. But because he's standing in the middle of the map, making it so difficult for Solar to move out, constantly running by the Zealots, yeah, I don't really see how Solar can kill him, and he needs to kill him. He's all-inning. That's why he never made extra drones. It's because he wants to kill his opponent. And I probably would have played it very similarly, because I think you're supposed to be able to kill your opponent if you have a gold base that early in a good early game. But he just didn't manage to do so.
Did not quite manage to do so at all. This choke is absolutely awful for Solar as well. Stalkers have been there this entire time. Stasis Ward's helping out. Overseer gets sniped. Still have a little bit of energy remaining on those oracles, so perhaps could Killsword beam their way through the rest of this army. Now the Zealot run-by is being sent in as MaxPax's is fighting. Almost always has a Zealot run-by coming in as a fight starts. Prism still alive is going to move in as well. Will fly into a spore. That is unfortunate for Max. But he does unphase it instantly as well. So it's going to keep it alive. 182 supply to 154. That was a great fight for the Danish Protoss player. As really the only way that Solar is going to win this game is by killing his opponent, and I don't think that's going to be possible anymore in this game.
Yeah, that was very impressive. It reminds me a lot of the initial hero style games where Rogue, for example, looked completely clueless as to what to do. I remember Rogue versus Hero on Blackburn, where he also played Ravager Bane, just tried to move across, and Hero would just stand in the middle of the map with Stalkers and Oracles, and just trade forever, and you can't get across the map. It's just really difficult. I mean, we realized eventually that the key is to just be very Ling heavy and run by, force your opponent to stay at home, and then go for a mass Baneling army and then attack, or you just don't attack. But yeah, I think Solar was a little bit too indecisive. It looked to me with the initial attack, as he's obviously dead here, it looked to me as with the initial attack he was trying to wait for his queens, because he kept going back.
Yeah.
That allowed MaxPax's for extra warpins and also getting the Zealots across, which would not have happened otherwise. So maybe a little bit of an error there.
Yeah. Zealous now moving in towards the natural once again, as this game, as you mentioned, is pretty much completely over. It's 3-2 upgrades for the Protoss player. It's just +2 on melee for Solar, but well, the main damage output is going to come from the Rovers and Ravagers, which are 0-0. Complete destruction here. MaxPax's, with a pretty darn poor early game, is going to win his own map pick, which was a terrible map for him, but it worked nonetheless.
I think MaxPax's made it to the Nemesis list of Dark,
Really?
which is a very short list, because Dark usually doesn't lose to many people. Sadly, I got kicked out, since I lost the last 3 times I played against him, but MaxPax's took the foreign spot.
Very nice. Oof. All right. Side Delta. Solar's trying to go for another 14 hatch. Should be capable of getting this down here. You know what's also really sick? Is that so far the players lost the game on their home server. Solar lost both games on West, and MaxPax's lost the game on East. How crazy is that?
Yeah, it happens. It happens sometimes. Happens to me as well. I just hate playing with ping in general. So
Yeah.
for me, it doesn't make
160, 180, 190. It doesn't matter. I hate it all equally. No prejudice here.
The only real difference is when I get more triggered when I play West and I play against Disruptors. It's very against the Disruptor Alliance especially, because I think they're not that good, but there's so difficult to play against when you're playing with the 190 ping.
Yeah, there's a lot of things. I freaking hate it when I move my oracles with ping. I think up to like 110. Like on East, I'm okay with it actually. East is okay. Central becomes bad. And then on the West, I just feel like it's like you can't move anymore. You know, it's like you forgot how to walk all of a sudden. Like, where do my legs go? It's like that with the oracle. It's like so stupid. The other day I tried kiting versus a cyclone, like kind of on top of it, like stutter stepping, and I missed 3 of my shots in a row. It's great.
Yeah.
That was so sad.
Yeah, I think you can get used to stuff like this, but it's super annoying. Like for example, whenever I play on ping, I keep having unhotkeyed units in the middle of nowhere, because you need to wait for, as Zerg, you make units and you need to wait for all of them to be built. So you need to wait for 190 milliseconds every single time you produce units in order to hotkey them. And if you make it faster, because I mean, obviously it's muscle memory. Usually I do it right after I build them. Always the last couple of ones I built are not in my hotkey group. So that's, I think, the most annoying part about ping with Zerg is actually just the macro, because you always end up with unhotkeyed units and it messes up the hotkeys.
So sick. But then again, you don't really have to micro during the game, so that makes up for it.
Exactly.
So you win
against
some,
Widow
you lose
Mines
some.
and Disruptors.
Yeah. Yeah, you can pre-split that. Don't worry about it, buddy. We're all good. Adept now moving in towards the natural base that's on the 3rd. Solar is trying to spread a creep tumor there. Ooh! MaxPax's walking in. Gonna get a kill on that drone. That is much more than you usually get. Usually you get no drones. Handling, yeah, that's very nice. Oracle's gonna start as well. The second Adept is also here. It's gonna have a shade, and there's only 2 Lings here and 1 Queen.
Oh, he's attacking his drone! He almost killed his own drone there.
Really? With the Lings?
Yeah, that drone that has low HP just got attacked by the Lings.
Gotta keep him busy somehow. Keep him fight ready, mate. Better keep him ready. Yes, 3 drones will go down against 2 Adepts. 1 Adept will die. This is usually considered a fairly good trade here for Protoss. 6 Lings have also fallen. This actually is a really good trade for Toss.
Yeah, it's a good. This is why I don't run by the Ling. You always ask me, but it's just 1 less Ling on defense, and you just ignore it. Like, it's really good to run by the Adepts against Protoss players that turn around with their second Adept.
Yeah.
But you should always just ignore it. 1 Ling can't do anything.
Here comes the
You need
Oracle.
to sleep. You need to sleep in order for it to do damage. And he gets 1. Oh, that's out of position. The second Queen's gonna spawn.
Was that second Queen a little bit late?
It was I mean, he lost drones, so that's why.
Ah, okay, yeah, of course. That does make sense. Yeah, I was wondering, usually the second Queen is there, I thought. Spore is done in the main base. There's 3 Queens over here at the 3rd. There's nothing in the natural except the Queen that just popped. As a Baneling Nest gets thrown down here. Now, I have a feeling that this is not a macro Baneling Nest, Lambo.
Well, usually whenever they do the Baneling Nest Queen Walk, though, they get a +1 that is 50% weight when the attack hits. So without the +1, I'm not sure it's the Ling Bane Queen Walk.
Nah, this definitely is, right? It can be. It can be.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
he's gonna scout it.
100%.
Lose an Oracle.
Oh
for
my
it.
god, he lost an Oracle. That's so bad, man.
That
It's
is
not 100% scout. Okay, now he saw extra links. That's huge. I mean, that Baneling Nest can be safety. It's not even that early. It's you need a Roachburn or a Baneling Nest against Claves at this time.
That is
Although
true.
I guess MaxPax's never does play Glaives. So.
Yeah, so he should be fine against Max. Okay, Adept still moving across the map. There's no battery here, which could be quite bad. Like, there's so many links on the map, but MaxPax is not quite responding to any of that. Now starts a battery, and he's seen so many freaking links. He just needs to start another Oracle here instantly. This is not going to be with Queens, by the way.
But he didn't realize at all. The Adept standing in the middle of nowhere. The 2 Adept run by is obviously bad against this as well. He has nothing at his third base. One Oracle, even that Oracle being forced to activate is really bad for him. I guess now it can just stay activated, so... He's trying to fight with the probes. The battery is too late. He just needs to hold here. Is very, very, very committed from Solar. And he has 6 gateways. He went for early extra gateways. A Sentry Warpin would be huge here, but it's too late at this point. The pylon is going to go down, and with it also the battery. And with that, most likely the third base will go down as well.
Yeah, maybe you want to recall those probes into your natural at this point, although 7 probes means more than 0. One more Oracle is going to show up here. Probes running back. There are 6 gateways for production, Lambo. Maybe we can keep the third base alive. Yes, the workers have gone down. Oracles are running out of energy now, though. Without +1, links aren't necessarily brilliant, but I think they're going to be good enough to deal with those Stalkers. And without any pulsar beams available, this is going to be real rough. I think if MaxPax doesn't lose that Oracle across the map, he's still going to hold despite his extremely late response. Of course, if he doesn't lose all of those Adepts across the map, he probably can also hold. If he has any indication whatsoever that this is happening, he's going to have a much easier time. Because this, without the Queens, like, the Oracles should just be capable of holding this pretty much by themselves, as long as you have units in mineral lines.
I mean, the best thing you can do is just warp in Sentry Adept, honestly, and Force Field. Buy time, let the Oracles deal their damage. You just gotta make sure that the pylon doesn't go down. And that's what the sentries are good for. I mean, even just the Stalker move at the end was kind of sloppy because he had the time, like the links were forced back by the Oracles to get in between the Nexus and the minerals, but he just was on A move, so they were caught in the middle of nowhere. So in the end, once again a bad trade for MaxPax. What was that link?
Misselijk.
Yeah, it has to be.
Has 6 gates +1 and blink. There are 38 links out. 6 queens as well. Queens will need to help out because the oracle count is significant. Third base is going to be defended by that one oracle. Yes, there's a single stasis ward here, gets activated. Nice move there, Solar. Doesn't want to fight into stasis wards. It's 11 Hydra start, and once those bad boys pop, I think that's going to be the end of this little push out that that MaxPax is trying to go for. Third base now being defended by Stalkers. Good blink back. We have fights at 2 sides at the same time. Oracle's gonna move back home as well. That's one of the 4. The first Hydras are now popping. And ooh, Stasis Ward almost connects with quite a big bunch of links there. MaxPax doing a good job as always. His Stalker control is good. Understand what needs to be done majority of the time. That Stasis is going to connect for sure. I think this is the end of this little pressure though. I don't think he can stay around for much longer.
Yeah, he really needs to watch out, because if he actually gets surrounded with the Hydras, the Orcus cannot save him this time. And he just blinked back everything. There's no stasis wards anymore. Solar obviously doesn't know that. But once those links, the initial links that get frozen, and freeze, he can now go for this round. Okay, Solar is playing it very safe, but MaxPax doesn't have anything against Hydra Bane.
Yeah.
So like, there's no timer here on Solar. He's not even getting outmined yet. If he just makes a lot of Hydra Ling Bane, I don't see what MaxPax does here.
Yeah, I'm having a difficult time seeing that as well. He's gonna get a battery. Has a cannon done now. He's going up to 6 gases. Battery in the natural is actually very helpful. These force fields are, well, really quite bad in my mind. On that left side, not really achieving much at all. And now that battery is a bit more exposed. Maybe with a super battery, it is still possible. That's a lot of Banes though. I didn't realize there was going to be this many. He pops in forward. Needs the connection with that super battery is gonna get it. If that super battery stays alive, I feel like MaxPax might have been capable of holding, and even without it, he's doing much better than I had anticipated here. Much, much better. Nice blink backs, has a good spread as well. His links are now moving in forward. Cannon in the back helps out every now and again. Does feel like Solar is just barely going to break him. If MaxPax hadn't used those force fields on the left side there, which did practically nothing, and he can defend the super battery for even just 3 or 4 seconds longer, I think he might be capable of holding here.
Yeah, that was super close to tilting the other way around.
All right. Solar versus MaxPax final game. Man, this tournament so far has actually been really good with the games, and also with the way that the series go. The only bad series really was Solar versus Australia.
Yeah.
All the others were pretty okay. I was happy with that. It's so sick how sometimes you have all these very big names and then the tournament still sucks balls because all the games are just terrible. But this series has also been quite good. Nice interactive games. I think it's going to be the case a lot of the time. When you have MaxPax playing. Solar's also tends to be quite aggressive. That's also why I tend to really like watching Clem. Although his early games tend to be fairly standard. He at least, you know, he moves out on the map. If you're watching like a Spirit game or something, and tends to be a little bit less interactive.
No hate on Piotr, please.
There's no hate on Piotr. I hate his playstyle.
Let's hate on him.
I hate the game, not the player. Okay, spawning pool on the way. It's about to finish up. As the hatchery did go down. I'm not quite sure what happened here, but this hatchery is 7 seconds late, so I think there was some trickery involved.
He went 14 hatch, it got blocked. And then he waited for the probe to go to the main, and then he took it later.
Gotcha. Yeah, so indeed some trickery involved. All right. Stargate going down here. Pre-warp gate. So we have MaxPax. So far, the 2 games he's won were with the mass Stalker stuff, 6-gate Stalker. So I'm kind of expecting that again. If I know MaxPax a little bit in the way that he usually picks his build orders, he tends to gravitate to what has worked in a series. And so far that has worked great, except for last game. But then again, in the last game he lost in against the Bailing bus. So we don't count that game. That's not a real loss. This is an interesting position, by the way, with the Overlord, because you're pretty much just giving it up for free, right?
Yeah, you can see it. Maybe Solar doesn't know. But you can see it with the high ground. So this is not a real high ground. It's a fake one.
Yeah. Fake pervert pillar. So you just put it over here instead? It's kind of an uncomfortable position.
A top right has to be. To the right of this pillar?
One?
Yeah.
Okay. It's not super close, but I guess it's fine. Yep, there we go. MaxPax was aware of it and is going to start shooting it. Solar's not going to be very happy with that at all. Speed finishing up in 9 seconds. Yeah, Solar's going to send these links across the map. Wants to have a pulsar beam activated here. I think that's going to be the plan. If you can get that done, that's actually quite nice.
Yeah, but he can't though. The Stalker is perfectly tucked in. I guess he has to go back in order to get it though. Oh, no, he got it with the last shot.
Very nice. Pulsar beam did get activated because I think the probe was a little bit afraid of dying there. Called in the air support. Double Adept now out. This is what, 7 links? MaxPax sloppy movement here. But I'm not so sure about this fight for Solar. 7 links against 2 Adepts and a Stalker nearby. Seems scary. The Oracle tried dealing some damage, but didn't really get anything yet.
Maybe it was not sloppy movement. Maybe it was just a bait. I get baited by sloppy Adept movements very frequently as well. And it ends up being the good play.
That is also why all of my Adept movement is sloppy. Just constantly baiting. Yeah, it happens. 3rd Oracle on the way now. We're really expecting that first Twilight.
Yeah, for sure. It can't be anything else at this point. With three oracles, I guess it could be Forge plus Robo, but I haven't seen MaxPax do that ever.
Me neither. Just gonna dive in here. Whoa! Yep, that's the Western United States for you. Holy crap, that was nasty. That should have been 2 drone kills, but instead it was 0 drone kills and a fairly damaged Oracle over there. 14 more drones start instantly. Solar opens up with +1 melee. This is the first time I think he's done that in this series. The melee before his lair has started, so that's nice for him. It's going to definitely help out against what he's playing against. So Solar's also kind of identified what MaxPax's favorite style is.
Yeah, if he went for the charge build, for example, this game, I think there's a good chance that we can see Solar die here. But not the case. Once again, going for 6 gates, blink, probably then a fourth base and a robo second forge. Basically his standard.
Yep, pretty much his standard indeed. Second forge now going down, and then soon that fourth base will get put down here as well. This fort is actually kind of late, no, for it being a melee build.
Yeah, for sure. He's gonna struggle spending all of his money.
Yeah.
And it has to be Hydras at this point. Otherwise, he won't be able to spend his money. Like, if it's a Roachborn, it just can't be. Oh, that's
two yeah, another 2 adepts are gonna get shaded to their death. I feel like that's what number 3 and 4 over here. Fort base is going to get taken here. And then MaxPax's now wants to start moving out at some point in the near future. And this is why +1 melee is so good. It's because the moment you move out with your stalkers, these links are going to be here. Makes it real hard for Protoss to move across the map. Well, if you're playing against a roach build order, then you can't really move across the map with 5 slow roaches and have the same amount of pressure. You actually have no pressure with 5 slow roaches. You'll most likely lose them, or you'll just die at home. Like, it's just not quite as good. With these high link counts, it becomes much, much easier. Double expansion as well, which I always freaking love to see out of Zerg players. Makes it so easy for you to give up one of these 2 bases and say, hey, I don't need that. If you can deal some damage with a run by, that often pays off more for the Zerg than it does for the Toss. As you mentioned, Solar having trouble spending his money. And he's going into Hydras as these links now trying to go in. Run by here clears 1 Stalker. Backup Stalker, pylon, battery, everything being warped in. I think Solar is honestly in a really nice spot.
Yeah, I think he's gonna try to Hydra Link Bane again. I think this, in general, is the biggest counter to what MaxPax's is doing. You can theoretically hold it, but you need to have proper good map control and really good micro. Trying to micro from across the map already. Having Zealot run by is pretty. Basically what he did on Equilibrium, he needs to do here again. And it's once again against his odds. Like on Equilibrium, it was against... The odds were stacked against him because of the gold base that the Solar had, so he just had way more units. This time around, his early game was kind of poor, MaxPax's. And he also went for a blind counter. +1 melee, greedy, straight into Hydra Link Bane. So I think it's gonna be a hard hold. But he made it happen once before.
Yeah. He's managed to hit 1 stasis here on a lot of links. Charge is so far away though, and that could really be an issue. If Solar manages to hit before there's any zealots on the map, then that usually tends to suck. Stalker's trying to catch these links. We'll get some of them. We have a 3 Stalker forward blink. Prism now moving across. This is a very important unit for MaxPax's. It's already keeping a lot of units occupied even before it got built, so that's nice. Just the thought of the Prism scared Solar into that. Means that this push is a little bit weaker, but these zealots are not across the map, and that is a huge issue. If they were across the map right now, it would be hard for Solar to hold it, because they're at home. Banelings and Hydras can just deal with it right over here. Stalker's kind of caught on the wrong side of the road as well, as Solar is now going to collapse on top of this base. Probe's in some trouble. 6 workers go down, as this battery is also going to get taken out. Can MaxPax's hold this?
He's trying to with the Stalkers here. I'm expecting him to use the Warp Prism on the other side to warp in, but Solar is in position with the Queens. I mean, as long as Solar gets this base, even if he holds it, it will be fine. But the Stalkers over time usually always defend. So yeah, Solar backs off because he doesn't want to commit all the Hydras into their death here, trying to recuperate his units, trying to join up with the Links and the Banes together with the Hydras, so the Hydras have something to tank for. But MaxPax's is once again attacking at the same time on the other side of the map, and there is somewhat of a timer here, because Colossus are really good against what Solar has.
Yeah, the moment you get a couple of Colossus out, especially with these upgrades, it's going to be fantastic. 2-1 is already out, +2 armor on the way. We have another Zealot run by. This is a huge one, because this is going to force a massive response out of Solar.
Yeah, it basically forces him into an all-in, I think. I think he's gonna pull the trigger right away. Oh, just half of Solar's army is fighting. I think MaxPax's underestimated his strength there of the Stalkers, because that was kind of just a miss rally.
Yeah.
But, I mean, he doesn't even need to take the fight. Once again, Zealot warping into Solar's main base. He's trying to take a 5th base at the same time, while Solar is still all-inning.
Now, losing the Prism is painful, though, as Solar is already preparing for the next run, but he's going to walk into a stasis. Real unfortunate. Means he's going to need to chase these zealots, although this base isn't really mining anymore, so maybe not the most pressing issue. MaxPax's, this is something he does so well. Whenever he has the opportunity, rather than just standing at home, he starts moving across the map, so he can fight on the other side of the map. He can kite his opponent back home. Colossus, of course, is a little bit vulnerable in this type of situation, but I almost feel like there's enough units here. Fighting off creep is so scary for Solar. Zealot run by being sent on towards the right is going to be big. Here comes a flank. Lynx coming in from the back, and this is going to be the make or break moment for Solar. Can MaxPax's get out of here? He kind of does, but it still looks scary.
The battery is super exposed as well, which means Solar is trying to go for it. What is the Colossus doing behind Solar's armies? On the wrong side of things, trying to deal with Zerglings one at a time. The Hydras, once they are by themselves, which is exactly what's happening here, they start falling like flies, and the moment the Zealots start getting warped in, the Hydras fall one by one, and there's just not that much left. The Colossus is kind of doing its job, even though it's gonna die here to the Hydra.
24 kills on the flanking Colossus. Absolutely insane. MaxPax's takes it for the foreigners over here, and that means we're all tied up right now, right? So that's going to be MaxPax's, Clem, and Oliveira left for the foreigners, for the world. For the Koreans, we have Hero, Dark, and Maru.